Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with Lorena and I. Today we wanted to talk about speaking out, speaking up, speaking your truth. We thought this was a really important thing to talk about because of there's a lot of censorship going around. There's a lot of also like political correctness, I guess you'd say. Like, you can talk about this, but you can't talk about that. There's a lot of pushing other people's belief system on other people as well. Like, I see a lot of that stuff going on now.
Yeah.
I don't know why this era is bringing this up. I think instead of saying you can't talk about that, question why you feel that way. Like, people should be questioning why they don't want, if you don't want to hear something, just don't listen to it.
Yeah, but there's censorship. There's so much, I don't even use the word censorship. It's more like people making you doubt yourself. And I think all of this is happening. This is how it feels, at least, for you to really stand in, first of all, in what you believe to be true and what you feel to be true, but without pushing that idea on everybody else. It's this is my truth. This is how I'm experiencing it. And this is how I need to live. And we all respect each other, regardless of what we choose. As long as, and there might be people that are choosing things that are harming others. So then we get into tricky territory. That changes the whole game right there.
So what I'm getting is, the most important thing to understand is when you see something being pushed to a dramatic state of limitations, whatever that limitation, whatever the subject is, most of that is going to happen or is happening because they're trying to control what comes into your ears and your eyes. That's how I'm being shown it. What comes into your ears and your eyes. Now, why is that so important? Control what's able to come in through your ears and your eyes. That will control the amount of information your brain contains, and it's controlling your perspective. So we're under a massive moment of control. It's like, the best way to describe it is, so we're in the era of Aquarius, but we're coming into it just now, which means that the last era is still kind of has its hands, it's gripping. It doesn't want to let go. This is how I'm being shown it. It's gripping. It doesn't want to let go. And so what happens is it needs to start letting go. But the best way for it to say, well, there's some tricky things that I can do here to continue to have life, beings and the earth, because earth is supposed to shift the way we live, the way we decide to live, the way we decide to do things. So it's like, let's control the perception. And by controlling the perception, we're able to stay in control longer. There's a hope for that. But there's a knowing. There's also a knowing. Those that are behind that plan, I guess you'd call it, there's a knowing that at some point they have to let up. There is no other option, right? So they're trying to extend it as much as possible. And the hope is, the way I see it, the hope is to be able to keep in control till 2023. Now, by what means we're going at now, we're halfway there. They're kind of still making it. And how are they making it? Through the perception of controlling what is coming in. So you're seeing one version of a story, and there's like 5 more behind that one.
Yep. I feel that. I mean, right now is the opportunity, even though we're being censored in many ways, there is an opportunity for all of us to speak the truth that we see and that we feel. Some of us see it, some of us feel it, some of us know it, right? And we're all getting it in different ways. Some of us through the Akashic Records, some of us through just intuition, Some of us through psychics. Some of us are mediums. There's so many different things. Maybe it's like oracle cards. Maybe it's tarot, runes, whatever that is. It's our duty to be speaking the truth in certain ways. And that's going to be very different for everybody. And this is where I guess the podcast for us has become something really important, where we can have an avenue and, yeah, kind of a platform to do that, where we don't feel that we're censored, that we don't feel, and we don't go into crazy things, but we speak what's coming through and the messages we're getting, which to me are important to share. We can't keep those to ourselves. They're there for a reason, right? So I think really we all need to speak up now. We all need to speak the truth that we're receiving, the messages we're getting, and it's not time to like cocoon and hide, and we need to share. It's important, even if you feel like people aren't listening.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of people. So there's two different things that I feel are coming into the era. More people wanting to have terrain to share even their stories, their perspective. They don't have to be like, oh, I connect to this and I get information. It could just be an individual wanting to connect with others through their own experiences and their own stories. And they should have the right to do that. But we're coming into an era where we should be shifting. Media should become an old thing. So media should become, the way I'm seeing it is like, remember when we used to
of the past.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember when we used to all put on this one channel? We all watched the same channel. Wow, we let 3 people control everybody's perspective. How did we do that before? That was crazy. How did they, like, I'm seeing it as the past, and it looks nuts right now.
I can totally feel that.
It was normal. That it was normal.
And that we fell for it.
And yeah, that we fell for it being normal, and that it was okay that the way one person verbalized something was going to bring into my consciousness a perspective, and I was going to accept that as truth in 2.2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And me and billions of other people at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny the way I'm seeing it, because I'm like laughing at it. I'm seeing myself in the future almost looking back. It looks like that, the image I'm getting, and looking back at it and like laughing about it. Like, wow, remember that?
Yeah, like the words they use is like, it's going to be a thing of the past. It won't be something people, I mean, it might still be there. But I think a lot of things will become kind of obsolete, like newspapers. We have everything online now. And people can create their own newspapers, their own forms of news, their own information. People can do their own studies. They can create their own scientific studies, and they can back those up, and they can put those online. Like, that's why censorship is so scary, because information's being hidden. And just because it's not coming from the news, this is what they're saying. Just because it's not coming from the news does not mean it's not reliable. And you thinking that it's not reliable, that's scary. Because someone's telling you not to rely on that, or to trust it, or to even look into it.
Those guys have bosses, and their bosses have to approve everything they say. And their bosses are being commissioned by other bosses that want them to say something as well, that their employees say something as well. And that's something that I don't know if a lot of people see that, but that's true, and that's a reality. And that's, yeah. And the fact that almost all the media chains are owned by the same guys.
Oh, yeah, of course. And they make a bucket load of money. And they're putting on what sells. It's not what people really need to hear in the news that people really need to hear necessarily. It's what sell. What is the angle of the story that I can put out there that people will get so freaked out or so amused with that they're just going to want to keep watching.
I mean,
it's all about ratings, right?
Yeah, to not get into current situations, just in case.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of these news guys that are supposedly in like the worst weather ever, and then like there'll be a shot from the outside, and you'll see normal people walking around in totally normal clothes, and that guy's like, rain jacket, and like standing in the middle of the only little tiny puddle there is, for example. Like, they're trying to make you see that perspective of, wow, this city was really hit. Wow, this weather was really bad. Wow, this storm is
Sometimes
really
it
hitting
is,
us hard.
of course.
Sometimes it is, of course. But sometimes they just want that perspective for whatever reason that their boss wants and that boss wants.
Mm-hmm. It's a story. They need to tell a story. And the way you tell stories with more excitement and more twists and turns and you want people to like hook people in, right? And this is why right now I think it's so important for all of us to really take our power and be able to tell our own truths and our own stories and what we're getting, especially spiritually speaking. I think we all have, and I'm sure a lot of you guys listening right now, a lot of you will probably have messages you're getting, intuitive hits, downloads, Akashic messages. I don't know. They can be very varied. But we need to be able to share those, even if it's just sharing it with one person. Maybe you don't want to start a podcast. Maybe you don't want to write a blog post about it or put it on your Instagram or Facebook or your website. Maybe it's just more about being able to communicate it out, because if we leave it only to ourselves and we don't share it, then that wisdom is lost. Like, it's there, it's energy, of course, but it's there for a reason. And more so now than ever, we need to be sharing those things. It's important. And I think we got that pull a long time ago when we started the podcast. It's all of these conversations we're having, people need to hear these. Like, we knew that from the start. And it was something that was kind of like a given, like, well, we're going to start a podcast. We're going to do it. It was a download, but we knew it was going to work. And we were going to just tell our story and our side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're living in times where the perception is controlled. There are a lot of different agendas going on. There's not just one. Which one wins, we don't know. Hopefully none of them. Hopefully the agenda of humanity to liberate itself and to just allow itself to be. But I think anything that becomes extreme is a problem, because we're not all not everybody's soul signed up to come here and do the same thing. So why would we all have to do the same thing? We all have to respect this. We all have to care about that. We all need to believe this. We all need to do that. No, we're all here to live different experiences, believe different things, and go through life in a different, maybe a totally different path than someone else. And we're going through a time right now where everyone's asked to do things exactly the same. Whatever it is that I'm talking about, like out of all the things that we've been going through, lockdown and masks and vax and all this thing, like we're being asked to do exactly the same thing. That already to me is questionable, because I know that the spiritual realm doesn't go, listen guys, I got a great idea.
One size fits all. No, never.
Yeah. You guys are all going to go down there. It's going to be billions of you, and you're all going to do the same thing. It's brilliant. You're going to learn from it. It's going to be amazing. Like, nah, that's not how the spiritual realm works. And yet we're being asked to all react and do everything the same way.
Gotta step up. Gotta step up.
So it's time for people to stop speaking. You know what comes to mind? Like Joe Rogan, he's the biggest podcaster that exists. Joe Rogan was censored the other day.
Yeah, I heard.
I was like, ooh, okay, I wonder what's going to come of this one. What was he talking about?
Was he censored by Spotify? Because he's on Spotify. He got a huge contract with Spotify. And
I don't remember. I don't know the details.
So he's exclusively on Spotify now.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well, too many people are hearing him. His perception, the perception he's feeding,
the perspective,
which is his view, is not aligned with the boss's.
Mm-hmm. It's his podcast, but I'm sure there's still... I mean, to me, it's more the platform that's censoring him, not his bosses, because he's his own boss. No, I'm saying he doesn't have those bosses that media has. Yeah. So he's literally sharing with people, supposedly, he's literally sharing with people exactly what he thinks and exactly what he sees, and that's what he's giving you. Alex Jones. Remember Alex Jones? He's had him on his show a few times. He was the guy that was talking about aliens, and people like kind of coined him as this conspiracy theorist, but a lot of the stuff he says isn't so far off now. Like, look at what the FBI's come out and said, oh, there's actually UFOs, and we have actually seen quote unquote aliens. Like, oh, and this guy was crazy. Like, no, he wasn't. Maybe he is a little crazy, but he has his energy, right? He has this crazy energy.
Listen, the other day, I think Sandra was labeling me crazy, something I was saying. I said, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. And he's like, he looks at me like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, the people that are labeled crazy are usually people that are totally genius. I mean, look at Albert Einstein. Einstein was labeled crazy for his entire life, probably. He was a fucking genius. I was like, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't let that stop you from being able to feed different perspectives to people. And that's the whole idea, right? And that's why we always had so many guests on at the beginning of the podcast, right? It's, how do you see the spiritual world? Like, how is your experience with it? Because it could be completely different from, like, even just us. Look what you've experienced with the Akashic Records and look what I've experienced. Yeah. We're completely different, like, channels and everything. So, you know, there is a need for each of us to shed and give light on our perspective and show what's coming through and tell people what's coming through without it being censored, without us holding back. I think that's the most important thing, and being able to feel free and open and share. And of course, this all goes into the intention we put behind it and why we're sharing certain things. And it's not about controlling people or telling them what to do. It's, hey, this is a message I got. This is what I feel is happening right now. Take it as you want, but I need to share this message. Like, this is part of why I'm here.
Yeah. I might be wrong about this, but I think those individuals that didn't have the TV on actually had a pretty good year since COVID started.
Yeah.
And I think those that had the TV on longer were the ones that had a rougher time.
I could agree to that. Yeah.
That's in my experience. That might not go for everybody, but that's watching around me and saying, well, I know this person really wasn't watching the news all the time, blah, blah, blah. These people didn't really have a good year and they really stressed out most of it and they did not. Yeah. I live on the same planet and most of these people I'm in the same city, at least in the same country, because those are the people around me that I see. Right. And yet I have to say, I've made a lot of progress in the last year and a half. I've studied a lot. I've done a lot of different things, and I feel like, I enjoyed it.
And you can see the different ways people live that experience, like just through friends that you might have and talking to people. To me, it was probably the most productive year I've had of starting my own business, doing things my own way, stepping up, us starting the Patreon and stepping up our channeling and making sure we're sharing even more with people. It's been really empowering, I think. It's obviously has its things, right? Like, it's negative sides, I guess you can say. But all in all, I think it's really given us the perspective we needed to do things differently.
When we're born, the first thing you're supposed to do as a mom with a baby, you're supposed to grab the baby and do skin to skin.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to have contact with each other. That's what keeps us sane. That's what keeps us living. That's what keeps us healthy. It keeps us vital. Having someone else's heart, right next to you, having profound conversations, those are the things that give us purpose in life, beyond having to have a mission or feeling like you need to do something for Earth. That's what keeps us sane. That's what gives us purpose, right? And then we were being asked to not visit our grandparents, to not visit our family. Don't hug them. Don't kiss them. I was okay with the kissing part because 3 kisses in Holland, that's a little much, okay? You want me to go and kiss your face 3 times and there's 10 people in a room?
No.
No. So I was actually very ecstatic. I was like, yes, no more kissing. This is awesome. Just a little wave. Hey, guys. But I still hugged. At least the people here in this town, when we met up, we all still hugged. We all, the elbow thing that the Americans do, I haven't really seen that here. That's just something that apparently that they really follow in the rule.
I've seen that
in the States. Here. Yeah, well, I haven't seen it here. Yeah, in Uruguay. Uruguay ate that shit up too. I'm sorry, guys, I'm cursing a lot today. But here in Holland, no. And I don't know anybody that was no, I'm going to stop hugging. You still have to be human. Then why are you alive? Do you want to stay alive for the next 20 years? And be yeah, I'm alive. I hugged no one in the last 20 years, but I'm alive.
Yeah, we're not even getting into all the mental health aspects of
That's
repercussions.
The thing. Little by little, it's disconnecting us from the human parts of the things that we need.
And what we're here to experience.
Yeah, we're here to experience each other.
Yeah.
If not, you would have been born on an island all alone, or in a whole planet on your own, or something.
Yeah. Or you wouldn't have incarnated, and you would have just stayed
wherever.
Yeah.
So, but we were so... It might be a little soon to talk about this, because there's still people hearing about maybe a loved one that died and they had COVID. I think there's a lot of other things, and I don't think it's time to talk about it. I think there's a lot of things behind the reports. I think there's a lot of things to talk about how someone might have passed away or not. So I'm going to leave it kind of like there floating, but I'm going to say, if your soul signed up to stay here, you're not gonna catch COVID and leave. If your soul signed up to stay here, you're staying here.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
You're gonna make it. That's spiritually speaking. That's how I see it. You're gonna make it. And if you know someone that left, it was the soul decided to leave. The soul made the decision. That decision was made by the soul.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
It was time. So sometimes I think to keep sane, we have to look from it from outside and say, well, what would my soul say to me to do?
Yeah.
What would my higher self say? What would my higher self say? Stop hugging the people you love? Yeah, I'm pretty sure your higher self would never say that.
No way. No way.
So I think that there needs to be a lot of starting to feel, and it's like starting to feel what you feel. Does this feel right to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your response. I think you should go from there.
Yeah. People all have their own truths right now. And you can believe and think what you want. But I think this is the time for us to all speak up. And there's people protesting. There's riots all over the place. There's uproars, and there's maybe not having anything to do with the pandemic per se, but people are wanting to see things with a different perspective. So this is a time for people to start speaking up. Like, we're talking to you guys that are listening to the podcast, right? Like, this is your time to start giving your perspective, and you have a voice.
I did a whole episode about responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
What you're saying reminds me of that.
Yeah, that reminds me of that too. And that's also why we kind of started this whole podcast assistant stuff, right? You know, for us, the podcast was a huge, huge thing that we were really scared to start, and we weren't sure where it was going to go. And then we realized with time, it was like, wow, we need to start helping people get on board with this, because this is such a great way to get your voice out there. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with video, so I think podcast is a great way for us to just kind of speak our truth, and then we can move on to different avenues if you like. Like, you can write a blog post, you can write something on your website, you can do a social media post, you can do so many different things, but share, bring light to things. Like, don't keep those inside. First of all, it's not good for you, but it's also, those things were put there for a reason. And if you inside of yourself feel that you need to be sharing certain messages, then do it. Even if it's with friends and family around you. Maybe it's not through this, like a podcast. Maybe it's not through your website. Maybe it's something else. But honor that. Like, first of all, you're going to feel much better, but you're also going to be helping the universe. You're going to be helping everybody.
And someone's going to hear you that needs to hear what you're about to say.
Yeah, it's going to have an effect on people. And like that's something I think there's been a few Akashic record readings where people are like, oh, but why would I have to do that? Like, what do people need to hear from me? Why my perspective is, why not? Like, why are you doubting yourself? You need to show things in your own way. And the way we relay and talk about the Akashic records isn't the same way someone else does it. It just isn't. And it's not going to be the same. And not everybody resonates with us. Not everybody resonates with other people. You just have to do your own thing and not try to be somebody else. and be true to those messages you're getting. A lot of people are getting downloads. That's how I feel, at least from our audience. Some of you are getting downloads. Why aren't those being shared? And if you are sharing it, great to you. Amazing. Perfect. You need to find your way to share that. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, we have to empower ourselves via everybody speaking up, whatever their truth is.
Yep.
Everyone's perspective and everyone's opinion needs to be heard, not just
Exactly.
one media person and 5 of their bosses.
Yeah. Totally. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about that right now. And the more we can all do that and start to like shine light on everything that's happening and shine light on our truth, speaking our truth, the more it's going to help everybody else. We might think it's like, oh, maybe just one person will see it. No, it doesn't matter. It's the vibration, the energy you're going into it with. What intention are you putting into it? Is it to help awaken people? Is it to help just bring awareness to something? Whatever that is. As long as your intention's good, it'll reach the people it needs to. It might be slow at first. Sometimes it could be slow because maybe you're holding yourself back. You're not truly trusting your path. But if you go into it full force and know what you need to do and just trust it, the people that need to receive your message will receive it. I can guarantee you that right now.
Yeah.
And it's not something you need to concern yourself about either. They're saying people will find it. They'll find a way to find it. Don't try searching for those people to hear your message. You just put it out there. That's the energetic exchange. People will find you.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's why we started trying to help people, because we knew it was really, it's like, I remember stressing out about learning, like, what platform do you use? How do you push those episodes? What do you do with this? I remember us stressing out so much of trying to figure out how to start the podcast.
Yeah.
That was like the most annoying step to me.
It was daunting. Like, we were scared. We were like, what if we do it wrong? What if we don't have all the steps in place? There's so many things to think about. And just kind of getting out of all the technical stuff, I was like, what are we going to talk about? Like, what are we going to make this about? Like, we're getting these downloads and we love talking about spiritual stuff, but why are we really starting this podcast? I think that's the moment when we found our why. Like, this is why we're doing it. Then everything made sense. Everything fell into place. Everything started to like become clear. Like, oh, we need to talk about this, and then we need to talk about that, and then we had a list of stuff we wanted to talk about, and we couldn't find enough time to talk about it.
Yeah,
that's how it works, and things will come to you as they need to come. And some of that's not in your control, right? Like, some of it's in control of what people need to hear at that time, and that download will come when it needs to come. Maybe you don't download. Maybe you just have stories to tell and experiences to share.
Experiences that you did something and it really helped you with this other thing, right? It could be advice.
Yeah.
From your own experience.
Completely. And I think that's the beauty of communities and the beauty of people coming together and being able to share those things. But if we're locked inside of our house, hiding from the universe, hiding from everybody, it's like, how is anybody going to learn anything from what you've gone through? Be it good, be it bad, be it whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It might benefit someone for you to tell that story.
Yeah, we're living some really weird times. It has to do with news and perspective and perception and control and manipulation. At the end of the day, if I had to put it all in a box, it's manipulation, and we're done. The era of manipulation is over. It's time for all of us to take our power back. It's time of all of us to say, nope, we're not hearing one person. We're hearing 20,000 people now.
Oh, yeah.
We're hearing all these other people. We're going to hear everybody. Our souls came here to share, and we're being silenced for whatever reason, because everyone's listening to one place, things from one place, right? Or
one perspective.
They're not realizing it and not opening up to other things. So it's time.
And that's why the intention part is so important, right? What they were saying. What intention are you going into sharing these messages? I don't think the media has always the best intention when they're sharing certain things. It's about ratings. It's about a story that sells. It's about there's an agenda behind what they're doing. It's not just, let me just share this information so it feels good for everybody and everybody's just benefiting from it. Like, no. Maybe some people are doing that, or certain stories maybe, but not most.
I know that I remember when we had V on once and we'd asked her guide if there was a government where he resided, and he said no, we govern ourselves. I thought to myself, we're so freaking behind.
Yep.
We still decide, all of us actively, because we all go to vote. We should all just one day be like, no one's voting because no one's going to be our government because we're going to govern ourselves. Like, we should all boycott even voting anybody, because at the end of the day, I know that a lot of people, like those that were following me on Instagram when the states was having their voting system, right? It was Biden against Trump. I was talking up against the media a lot because I saw what the media was doing. They were controlling the narrative 100%. And I don't care if Biden was winning or Trump was winning. I was caring what the media was doing at the time.
Yeah.
I was so angry. I was like, this is just the beginning of them controlling it. I saw it all coming. And it was like, they just doubled down. And then after that, they went right for COVID, like to feed exactly the perception they wanted people to have of the COVID narrative, and how is it really bad or is it really good? Or they just were going to give you the story they wanted you to give you because their bosses were telling them how, right?
Yeah.
And I saw the same thing happening in the States. And I knew that it was, if they won that one, they were going to win a lot of ones that were coming up. And I was really upset about it. I was getting upset about it because it was so clear to me what they were doing, and no one wanted to question it. Like, the question why the media is already announcing a winner when the winner, they don't even know it. Question why the media isn't questioning why the numbers were weird. Question why the media is doing this and saying that. Like, I don't care who wins, because at the end of the day, they have someone above them and telling them what to do anyways.
Of course, yeah.
The president doesn't even make decisions. So whatever, whoever wins, whatever, you still have the government that's controlling you. That's who's controlling you, the government. So I was mad about the media because media was doing that, and they continue to do that. And I knew it was just the beginning. And it's just going to keep getting worse every day we pass till we finally all decide we're done.
Enough is enough.
So how do you do it? You stop watching them. Everyone, all of us, just stop listening to them. Stop watching them. They lose their control.
We vote and ratings. We give power with the things that we consume and we subscribe to. That's it.
We should be doing things like that. Like, okay, let's
we're
all
the
boycott.
consumer. We're the consumer. Yeah. You have the power.
Exactly. And then we start buying. We stopped buying from Amazon because while everybody was getting, all those businesses, small businesses were getting poorer during these times. People like Jeff Bezos was getting richer. Like, so we should have all stopped consuming from places like, for example, Amazon, and only bought locally. Buy from your local guy that does his own gardening, and buy from the guy next door who...
People have taken that very seriously here on this little island, because...
Yeah?
Yeah, because a lot of local businesses relying on local people that are living here as residents, or just people from here, to go to these restaurants, to shop at these places, because if there's no tourists.
Yeah.
It's the only way they're going to survive, and so many businesses shut down.
That's good that they did that, because that didn't really happen in every place in the world.
And I'm sure some are just surviving. Like, I'm sure some of them they're definitely not thriving, I can tell you that.
I mean, I can't remember where it was, but there were some countries in the world where the small supermarkets weren't allowed to open, but the big ones were.
Yeah, Canada. It's a great example.
Okay, explain that to me.
Walmart was open, but then all the little supermarkets were closed. They weren't considered essential.
Exactly. That's it. That they're controlling everything, and it's not the right way to do it.
It's not the right way to do it. No. We need to stand up, speak up, tell our truth, connect with what we think is right, put a good intention behind it, and not forcing our ideas on anybody. It's, here's the information. Do what you want with it.
Yeah. I think my entire life I always thought God, being a rebel makes life so difficult. Why am I a rebel?
I know.
I should just like be submissive. It's so easy. Life is so easy. And now like all this is happening going, wow, now I get why my soul picked the character trait of rebel, because I already hate authority. I'm already totally against it. I'm ready. I'm ready to let it go. Let's go.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you want to say anything else, Lou, but I think we could wrap up.
No, I think we made our point pretty well.
Yeah. And I know we probably talked about this stuff before in different contexts, but just kind of a message we're getting now, because like we actually just channeled for our Patreon for July, and we were talking about how things aren't going to get easy. Things are going to get harder for the next while, a long while. So strap your seatbelts on.
I think a lot of people think it's over, right?
It's not over.
Nah.
Nope, it's not over. We know that. And we feel that we've been getting that message for a while now. It's not, things got a little bit easier. Like I said, remember something came like, there's going to be a bit of a rest period in July, August, when I was saying that from January. So in 6 months, it seems like it gets better, but it's not gone.
I'm nervous about August, September.
Yeah, me too.
I think that, I don't know exactly when it begins, but I'm getting August and September. So maybe in the middle of those, or in the middle of that time frame, but
November,
it begins pretty severely.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So
make sure, guys, that you are where you want to be. Like, make sure you're comfortable. Make sure you're where you want to be, aka like living or city or town or whatever it is, because it's just going to be better for you to be comfortable and be happy where you are, so you can align yourself better and watch from a distance whatever could be happening.
Yeah. And the thing is, like we were just saying on the Patreon, this chaos is needed for us to reprogram everything that's been going on for so long. So it's needed, and we can't try to push away from that. We need to accept it. We need to go with the flow. But in the meantime, we all need to be speaking our truth. It's important. It's needed, and we need to step up. Step the F up.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. So if I'm going to mention this now, because I think, we already kind of went into it a little bit in the podcast, is if you guys are interested in starting a podcast, we are actually, we're helping people with podcasts. We're doing podcast assistance kind of like virtually. And we're taking each case individual. So we meet with you on Zoom, we chat with you, we see what you need, and then we kind of tailor the help to your needs and your situation. So it could be from, I have no idea what I want to talk about, but I know I want to start a podcast, to I already have a podcast, but I'm changing it, or I just need help with this aspect of organizing, or anything. Just like reach out to us. You can email us at soultribepodcast@gmail.com. We'll have that information on the show notes as well. And we're going to have an update for you guys, I think, next week about level 2. There's a few things that we're just trying to wrap up and make sure they're complete. Because like we said, we don't want to just bring this course out and it not be completed. It needs to be important for it to be perfect and have everything that needs to be included in it. So we're just taking a little bit of extra time with that. But we think for August, we're going to have our first dates announced. So definitely sign up on the link that's on the show notes if you're interested in doing level 2 and you've already done level 1. If you haven't done level 1, but you're interested in level 2, make sure you do that now. We have our online course. I'll link that below too. And email us with any questions also at soultribepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. So we'll see you guys next week with a new episode. And step it up, guys. Speak your truth. Do what you got to do. And we're here to support you. So we'll see you next week, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.